All right, everybody, welcome back to BMRL Network. This is season 4 of the Xfinity series, Daytona. With me in the booth, I've got Zabi. Zabi, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I think been ready for this season to start here.
Absolutely. I'm really excited for qualifying to go. We've already seen drivers come out on the track and really give it their all to go as quick as they can. And really, as we have Jeff out there, the first one.
Jeff rocking that number 7 paint this season. He was the 48 last season, but decided to move to number 7, and that paint may look like something that people are used to seeing on the Xfinity side of things in actual NASCAR.
Amazing. So, do these paints and stuff have meaning for all the drivers? I'm sure that everything new to me in terms of NASCAR and overall racing. So, do they just run something they like, or it's just they run something that probably has a meaning in real life as well for them?
Right, yeah, like to me, like paints they're like tattoos. Like you either for me, I choose the number of my favorite driver growing up, which was Jeff Gordon, so I'm gonna be running the 24 on Thursday nights, and then like in the truck series, I love Hendrick Motorsports, so I'm running the 7, which is their I think it's Aspire Motorsports number, which Kyle Larson usually drives in. He's a Cup Series driver in the NASCAR series. And so yes, some drivers they paint it with any sponsors or logos that they might a business they might own or whatever. Or for instance, like here, Brandon Yates, he's got a Premier Setup shot paint. So he may actually be driving for a Premier Setup.
Awesome, as we have two drivers already put in their times. That becomes three now with Peppers at the top and Hund in second and Cross, which becomes Pacquiao in fourth as Tinder goes three. Everybody now rapidly posting their times coming out on the track.
Yeah, it looks like Brandon Yates posting a 51:18, and that's something that we'll learn with super speedways. Um,
So with the lap as small as 50 seconds, do we see drivers rapidly improving, or it's more of like who pushes the drive, who goes first would be first most of the time, or is always changing? I'm sure it's racing. It's got to be always changing and back and forth, but still you've got the more knowledge and the premium of it.
yeah, so most generally, I'm thinking that I accidentally set this up wrong, where they only have 1 lap of qualifying, but usually we got 2 laps. And something like Daytona, these drivers want to come out, they want to take the green flag and not really push the car too much because those tires are just now getting warmed up. And if you come out on the green flag on a track like Daytona or Talladega and you push your car as fast as it can go, by the second lap, you're going to be a little bit slower than your initial lap because you didn't give your tires the chance to get warmed up properly on that initial lap.
Makes a lot of sense. Also, going into the race, are we seeing any pit stops for the tires or for refueling? Anything that we should be expecting, or it'll be all foot to the floor and to the end.
Yeah, so going into this one, their fuel mileage, talking with a couple of the drivers under practice, stages are at lap 30, 30 and 70, or 35 and 70, pardon. And so these drivers have about 28 to 30 laps of fuel. So if there's no caution in this first initial stage, then we might see drivers having to pit, about 5 laps before the actual stage caution. So look for some of these guys to possibly try to stretch that out to go the full 35. Can it happen? Possibly. Will it most likely not happen? That's another possibility. It just depends on how much throttle you're actually having to use in this draft.
Awesome. So not only so it's even if it's oval, but it's not always the drivers would be pushing or probably foot to the floor. Sometimes they'll be harvesting, as we call it in the Formula One world. That They just lift off a little, and then try and lift and coast. Maybe try and saving the fuel, and maybe try and saving the tires as well, not giving it their all.
Yeah, and so that's the beautiful thing about the draft is we're gonna see a lot of these guys who are second row and back gonna be, like you said, about lifting off of that throttle, whether or not it's a quarter throttle or half throttle. Just depends on overall the the air quality that they have from the car in front of them. Also, this car cannot push, so we're not going to see any bumper touching. If they do, then these engines are known to retire. All right, but the grid has been set. Looks like row 1's going to be occupied by Chris Cornett and Corey Moore. Row 2, Jeff Peppers and Austin Hund. Row 3, Ryan Philbrick and James Tinder. Row 4 is going to have Andrew Groves and Dakota Ramsdale. Row 5, we got Joe Packard and Sean Cross. Row 6, Brandon Yates and Dustin Hardy. And then row 7, we're going to have David Mayo and Corey Denson.
Awesome, as we just have the grid set up now. Anytime we go racing, as we get a lap behind the pace car, and as it goes green, it should be exciting and all underway as soon as it's green and all these drivers are on foot to the floor and really giving it their racing, all wheel-to-wheel racing, and really should be exciting getting the battle begin.
Yes, it's going to be a very exciting, very fast race. Or very fast and speed-wise. We got 115 laps, which is pretty outside the norm here, but in BMRL I love to have 3 races every season, which this season we're not going to get those 3 races, but I like to have Daytona, Indianapolis, and Darlington be almost full-length races. However, we're not going to do a full-length race here at Daytona because these guys in real life actually do 300 miles, and we definitely don't want to be here for that long.
Yeah, I like that much. So really, so how much would 115 laps would it be of the full of this track? Probably, if you're running the full configuration, how many laps would have that been?
I believe it's around the 125, 130, I think, for full length.
Okay, so it's still about like 15 to 20 laps if we're counting maximum. Not that big of a difference.
So yeah, it's a 2.5 mile track. 150, or no, because we're gonna do. His cup is 250 for 500 miles. My brain isn't mathing right now. But yeah, so race number 1 of season 4. This is going to be a 10-race season as we introduced a brand new series to this league that we didn't have for the prior 3 seasons. That's going to be the Cup Series on Thursday nights. And of course, tomorrow night, the Truck Series going to have their opening race. But right now, it's Xfinity time. Pace car off the track. Here we go. Green flag is out.
Pace car comes in, green flag as the leader leads from the top as he goes around as car 45 goes around the outside of car 7 there. Meanwhile, your leader, 87, leading there, Chris Cornett, just on the inside line he is. He's going to lead it, going to try and keep his lead and not really feel any challenge there. Meanwhile, car 45 falling around where we are seeing car 7 and car 6. I think it should be on the inside line as we're having different battles at the bottom of the field there. The bottom 2 cars trying to have their own battle there. Both in these moving into that same inside line now, really trying to do what they can. Everybody now sticking to their line, sticking to their place out on track, not really trying to go for anything risky or really just managing what they have to do at this moment as we just begin into this race.
Everything going smooth so far. We got a car, Brandon Yates, kind of just holding up in the back here. That's kind of the spot that you want to be, especially when you've got 115 laps. You can't win it on lap 1 or 2. You gotta be prepared for anything to happen.
Exactly. I mean, sometimes you're really at the, especially the cars at the front, really try and do something maybe heroics, as they say. Heroics don't do the heroics into turn 1. They really sometimes try and do that and probably take themselves out, or probably try and take somebody around them out as well. And especially if you're really at the bottom of the field, sometimes you could just see an incident ahead of you and really move upwards in this race as the drive is on the inside, still sticking. As meanwhile 45 around the outside is just going for it on Chris there, as he's going to try and do what he can to really stick to that outside line and keep his lead, but the car number 87 is going to come back at them as well. Sometimes it's corner to corner, it's really depending, but now car 45 is really on it and he's going to go for it. He's really trying to now maintain his pressure and his presence there on the outside.
Yeah, this outside line just can't get any sort of run. We got a jumper. That's going to be Andrew Groves jumping up to the outside line.
All of them now really pushing, trying to push that he can, and I think 87 on the inside line, still keeping his lead. Meanwhile, on the outside, car 6 really doing what they can, but as you said, nothing much you can do on that outside line, but still trying to do the best they can, especially on this straight where there's no corner, no outside or the inside line there. It obviously is, but it's not uphill, so it's just straight up. They go to try and go foot to the floor as quick as they can. While everybody's just still maintaining. Meanwhile, Brandon Yates should be in that last place, kind of falling away from the field a little bit from his teammate. It should be, I think, about them kind of running the same cars. I wonder if they're teammates or not, but he seems to be falling away a little bit from the rest of the field.
Ooh, and I misspoke. I said earlier Andrew Gross, but that's actually Ryan Philbrick on the outside leading the charge.
As they still take it, we haven't seen much moves except for that car 6 really going it, sending one move there, gets himself on that outside line, leader of that outside line cars, but he's going for it. He's kind of losing there. The inside, the jumpers are getting just big jumps and really getting up a few positions ahead, but obviously that becomes a little harder now. Meanwhile, 87 still leading ahead of that 7, ahead of the rest of the field as well. The outside line, we're not seeing much moves, not much movements around the track at the moment, but cars obviously behind and ahead as well, really doing all their movements as they can. As 91's going to go, or almost thought for it, on the outside, trying to defend for him 6 there, but he stays to the inside. He knows as soon as he goes to that outside, he might just try and lose positions. He might end up losing some positions. Meanwhile, car number, as we see there, I think that's 45, if I'm not wrong, on the outside of 6 there, but he's losing out. He's fighting out there. That is really close there between the two.
Whew, and the hole's going to open up for him to jump down into. It's always scary when you're the only one stuck in the middle here at Daytona. It's kind of like a straw. You got your 2 outsides and you're stuck in the middle. You're going to go one way and one way only, and you might have the pinball effect.
I do. So you could end up, they could end up bending it into each other, or the walls are not far away as well if they really try and misjudge it and end up misjudging a corner or probably a length there. Meanwhile, from jumps from inside to the outside, that becomes the leader of that car.
Got a lot of moves. The 91 jumps up to the outside. And I believe the 06 jumped to the inside at the same time when those moves were made. Ooh, the 3 and the 33 almost connect with each other. 33 getting a little loose and coming down, as well as the 3 getting loose going up.
Really close, and I think really everybody, I think at the moment they're just trying to figure out where they want to stay. They want to stay to the inside or the outside. We saw 06 hang around there for a little bit on the outside, but came back on the inside line, thinking about there wasn't much progress to be made on that inside, but still, meanwhile, 91 leads that outside pack, but he's sure going to try what he can. Meanwhile, the top 3 have been able to stay as since the start. They haven't been challenged, nor have challenged each other around. And sure, it's only on lap 8. So it's a big, long race. They're definitely thinking about the end of the race rather than now. Meanwhile, they're going to see moves coming up, as we saw their 87 move a little bit on the outside. And that is going to see 7 on the inside line go for it. And is going to get the lead of that inside pack there. And that is going to be many, many moves made out there.
Ooh, that was almost it kind of was a bad move.
Very close, man. Meanwhile, 06 has fallen very far back out there. 7 has taken it, as we were just talking about, that no moves have been made, as 87 falls back to 3rd place.
Well, at least they kept it straight. Now we got about 2 packs formed here. Led by Corey Denson, Dakota, Ryan, and Brandon Yates. All 4 back towards the back, just kind of in their own little world right now.
Almost, and I think now we've seen different packs. There was only 1 pack earlier, just one on the outside and the inside. Obviously having drivers around there, but some difference, as I say, different packs forming up there as well. Behind 91, I believe, is that car at the back we saw for a little bit, which is just disappeared now as the car 3 on the outside now. Meanwhile, 7 enjoying it as 97 jumped out there as well. As we've seen now, everybody doing what they really want to be showing here. As are we going to see any moves at the moment? Not so far. Just playing the patience game, playing the patience game, and really trying to be the bigger one here in this picture. As they're going to do. Meanwhile, there's 3 cars now. It'll be 3 wide, but who'd be late? And as there goes around the outside, there could be a chance. And as 45 goes to that outside line there, he's going to try and get in there. I think that being in the middle is a very hard place as drivers jump into the pits, I believe.
Yep, we got a couple coming down pit road, led by Andrew Groves, Chris Cornett, Dakota Ramsdale, and Dustin Hardy, all 4 on pit road. These guys all a team, so teamwork in full effect here tonight, as it's a must here at Daytona. You can't trust everyone out there, but you can trust your team. Looks like Dustin Hardy having to back up in his pit stall. That's going to cost him a lot, and he's taking tires. He's going to lose his team in the draft.
Oh, definitely those tires means more time in the pits there, and that is definitely going to cost you some track positions on the track. As meanwhile, 3 goes on the inside of 7. He's going to go into the lead of the race there. He thought for it as everybody else pitted for a track and more positions for you. Meanwhile, 7 still hanging around on the outside there. Is he going to go for it? He's going to stay at the ahead of him. They're still very close. As cars behind also very close as well, as we have 48 and 3 now. Meanwhile, 3 has been on the inside line, but losing really as 48 there. Thought for a moment to go on it, but didn't quite get out of the pack.
And there we go. The leaders are catching the 33, Dustin Hardy, the one that took tires on his pit stop and had to back up. He's going to go a lap down here. That's going to be interesting. Where does he go? Where does the pack go? They're going to go 3 wide.
Have to be really careful, as sometimes we see drivers especially the cars that are getting lapped and are lapped down. Sometimes they just don't get out of the way correctly and end up in ways that they don't want to be. Maybe sometimes taking the others out as well.
Alright, so one team making a pit stop. They're gonna need it prior to this first stage here at 35. When do we see the next group of cars drop down pit road? Oh, they're 3 wide and they're bumping. That's Joe Packard. Gonna get situated. He's gonna drop to the inside line. Take on our team that pitted there. Looking pretty good here right now. Still out in front, or well, they're still on the lead lap, 32 seconds behind our leader. "16 laps done." That means we got 99 laps to go. And so far, a very clean race.
Yeah, we haven't seen any incidents or any really moments that the drivers really wouldn't have wanted as well. Obviously, especially a brand new season, all these drivers wait, practice all around all week, really waiting for this one moment, and sometimes it really ends up being not how you wanted. And I think so far they've kept it quite clean and very nicely.
That camera still broke.
Yeah, a little bit there. Meanwhile, as we're going to see now, outside or the inside, who's going to be there? It's inside line still has that power of just being the attackers, being the leaders. Meanwhile, we almost see these guys go 3 wide there. The car on the outside moves back into the line. They try going 3 wide, but that shouldn't have been the best way there. That could have been horrible had he stayed there where he wanted to be.
Alright, 18 laps down. 4 cars have pitted. Still waiting for the others to make their move down the pit road.
A little bit weird to me, but we're back.
Alright, looks like they're all getting down in a single file line. We could see pit stops starting to happen here.
Pit stops could, as well as some moves as well. All single files now. Everybody's got a chance to go, try and do something different, try and do something different than anybody around them. And could we see something between the car 3 and ahead of them? Could there be moves as they lead? The top 3 are currently single file as we see these amazing helicopter moves. Meanwhile, 45 for a moment thought to go on that outside, but as soon as he would have went there, that he would have lost the position. That's for sure. Not one, but more as well.
It looks like we do have some pitters. Ryan Philbrook and Brandon Yates both on a team here. So another team pit strategy.
They have to be thinking here, the drivers on there for themselves as a team as well. They really have to be going all around. Meanwhile, the insiders now, that becomes single from double as drivers now lose all of that as soon as that breaks. Meanwhile, car 8 ahead of them, and ahead of them the leader would be, as they're just doing their best, car number 91 now, previously almost at the back of the grid, just coming back up and getting the lead, and at the top of the race now, as we're going to see 45 now around the outside, losing even more position. There could be a chance for 30, car 33 there could be. Meanwhile, he's going to go scrapping there, very close, but with 8. As a car rejoining, I think, or is it getting lapped?
Yeah, rejoining, but gonna end up getting lapped here, unfortunately. Brandon Yates having to back up in his pit stall, coming out way too far behind his teammate.
But you never know. I mean, earlier we see Dustin Hardy getting lapped as well. But at the moment, he still stays 13th. But we've seen him really in between the pack now, trying to just unlap himself and get back with the racing once again. Around the outside, meanwhile, 15 and 45 still staying to that outside line, still staying true to that line. Meanwhile, the inside runners are giving it their all as well. We see one more driver switching to that outside. There is also, it's almost like they have to get out of the way at this moment. Meanwhile, 45 is there on the outside, and he's really given some good time there to 91 and not letting anybody behind try and pass as well. They stick in there and wheels, and that could have been horrible. Lucky enough, 91 might have some damage as he comes straight into the pits.
Alright, looks like we're gonna get a big chunk here.
That could have been very nasty for both of them. Almost ended their each other's race there, and the car on the outside 45 could have been in the wall.
And now we have a race for the lucky dog position, which that person will get their lap back between Dustin Hardy and Ryan Philbrook. Right now, Dustin Hardy in front of this. In the 33 there.
Whoever finishes the lap ahead would really unlap themselves.
Yes, yep. So when that yellow gets thrown here in 5 or 10 laps, whichever one of those two is ahead of the other will get a wave around.
Cool. That is really close now then between Hardy and the other car there, both of them. Yates and Hardy currently 13th and 12th. Hardy still defending, still keeping his line there though on the outside. And meanwhile, 15 is going to go for it. They both overtake 45, but still, there now could be a chance for 15 there. Hardy and Yates, both of them giving it their all. But meanwhile, as you just disappear and get back to this battle, 45. And meanwhile, Mayo comes into the pits. So do cars behind him as well.
Alright, the final 3 cars on pit road. That's going to put Andrew Groves, Chris Cornett, and Dakota Ramsdale coming out of turn 4 across the tri-oval. These 3 are going to get the lead here. And they're going to get the lead by a big margin as we watch from the stands.
Definitely, as racing is concerned, sometimes you lose in the pits and sometimes you win as well, as these two are far away from the rest of the pack. And now we've seen it's 97, 87, and another car right behind them, which would be 83 of Ramsdale. They 3 really close. The rest of the field's forming up as well. Meanwhile, these 3 single file going. Nobody's going to the outside, to that outside line at the moment to try and charge for a move, try and move themselves up the order or challenge the car ahead. So far, it seems to be a game of patience between the top three at this moment, as 87 thought for it to go out on the outside. Comes back again. This time he might try and go for it, but they stay in as it is. There we go once again now for on the outside. 87 thought for it, still stay there. Cornet still staying there, not going for a move early on, really. He's thinking, I mean, still, it's a game of patience. We saw earlier in the race, they probably think, or for a moment, there comes a time they think, and go for it. I think it'll be 87 would really be waiting for the 97 car, the leader, to try and go for it. Maybe go charge for that outside line. Meanwhile, 87 once again thought for it. I think the elevation of that corner is almost like they're forced to go obviously uphill. And now there could be a chance. Are we seeing anybody go for that? Is he still staying? He's having his one part of his car on that outside and to that inside. Now they're really doing their all they can. Meanwhile, your leader 97 moves a little to the right hand side as well to try and defend there and not let 87 get past, as it'll be really close. I mean, it'll be cool to see the rest of the field as well, but the top three so far, Gross, Cornet and Ramsdale, still maintaining that. Meanwhile, we see this battle here between 45, that should be, as we're going to see others, 48 in fact it is, 48, 3 and car number 7, who was with the leaders, who indeed was leading for a little bit at the start. Meanwhile, he's a little bit behind, but it's not far behind though. It's P4, P5 and 7 for these guys. Meanwhile, this battle here going for double file, we haven't seen that for a little bit throughout this race. We see just single file for a little bit after the pit stops. Meanwhile, there goes this on the outside 91. There was a big incident between 91 and 45. They're still really close to each other now, pretty much going in that same lane instead of outside or the inside. They're really now nobody's really going for such moves. Meanwhile, Hardy leads that pack on the inside.
Ooh, Ryan Philbrick not with any car. Just kind of moving on his own right now. And Joe Packard finally coming off a pit road.
Caution south, caution south, caution south.
There we go, so it is cautions now.
Oh, it happened in this pack here. Ooh.
That is what we really talk about, and this is the hard part of this track. You're staying to your line, but someone maybe around you makes a mistake, and it could be you and their race over as well. And we saw this huge moment, and they both must have, if not critical, some damage could be there in both cars involved in that incident.
Yeah, let's go back and look at that from a different angle here. So it looks like, yep, our 15 gets a little bit too... Oh, he gets a little bit loose. Kind of hits the apron, gets all out of shape. Oh, the 45 comes down, gets him. And it's just a chain reaction.
That's many cars. A few cars, more than one car involved in there, really. 45, I think, surprisingly, coincidentally, but once again, really involved in another incident we saw earlier. That same driver really involved earlier as well.
Alright, so these guys, caution coming out lap 30. Means they're going to get set up for a green-white checkered for the stage here. They're going to take the green flag, the white flag will be out, and then the stage will end.
It ends lap 30 or...
35.
Okay. So up until then, we are going to be on the pace car?
No, we're going to take the green flag for 1 lap, or well, 2 laps technically.
Meanwhile, Six gets to get back to the leaders there, trying to unlap himself behind the pace car.
It looks like James Tender involved in that wreck. He is on pit road. Can we get a good look? There we go. A lot of front end damage to that car. I think his night is over. Joe Packard might be okay. Oh, he didn't get involved. It was Brandon Yates was involved in that one.
As we say, sometimes it could be somebody else's mistake, but you could be the one having to pay for it. And really, in that case, we're seeing him. He was just on his line, staying true to his own line, but just gets tagged and ended up picking up the most damage out of them all.
I can tell you right now who didn't want to see that caution, and that's that team of the 97, 87, and 83. Did not want to see that yellow wave because they were all three just kind of running away with it 1, 2, 3, and now they have the possibility of not finishing 1, 2, 3 as we're going to take a green flag and line them all back up.
Yeah, I think that really ended up being to their disadvantage at the moment. They were far away from the rest of the field, and with obviously the pace car bringing everybody close, everybody together, this is going to be more pressure to those guys now, and definitely they would be thinking that why did this just happen? But obviously now they've got no choice but to try and do it once again.
Alright, these guys are going to line back up.
Lap 32 of 35 that we're going to have the first caution, and at the moment we're waiting for the track to go green at the moment, and still can't, these drivers patiently waiting, staying. And meanwhile we see the most damaged car we had is back out on the track.
Yep, James Tender able to get it back out here. Looks like that team did some pretty good work with that steering. I guarantee is not looking pretty. As let's take an inside look here.
Oh no, it's ruined. Not sure how he's going to drive with that.
It's hard.
He might try and go for it, but I think it's very, it'd be annoying, that's for sure.
And that's just super speedway racing for you. Like you had said, you could be driving your line, minding your own business. The next thing you know, you can be just hard into that wall or around. Looks like he's gonna do some lawn care.
And that's what hurts you the most as well as a racing driver, especially having raced myself. I could tell you that if you're really out because of somebody else's mistake, that really ends up ruining your whole, not only your mood, but pretty much the night. And you'd be like, I have to wait now another week, especially if it's racing once a week.
Green, green, green.
All right, green flag is out. We're gonna have 2, technically 3 laps to go. That's the nice thing about Daytona. It came out 5 laps, there, but we were able to get around and get going green.
And we go green once again. We see the top 3 once again get to that inside line, try and move away from the rest of those, but now they're not going to leave them alone. Now they're going to challenge. Meanwhile, 91 already moves to that outside, and it'll be really close. Now, it's not 93, it was 3, but there it goes, really close. They're now almost touching bumpers there, the top 2, 97 and Ramsdale 83 there, as it's going to be really close. Meanwhile, should be 97, 94, 91 right around the outside of them as well. Now everybody bunching up out of the field is now really, really close. That 91 gets that inside 9 now. 87 having to move away a little from those guys, from those top 3 guys, and it's going to be now probably him to try and get the most he can in these remaining laps. It could be really interesting towards the end what we are going to be seeing. Meanwhile, the top 3 is not completely changed, but the driver for that position is changed. They're very, very close. Again, trying to defend, trying to really do the most. 45, again, moving around the whole track to try and really defend their position.
Oh, we're going to keep it straight. We're not. Oh, and there's...
Caution down. Caution down.
And that is a big incident, really. Once again, we saw cars on the outside hitting the wall, and that was not one, but many cars hitting, and that in the end gets up, causing incidents, and that's many cars damaged. Now it'll be interesting to see who finishes and who does not. It might not be that much damage, but still it could be a lot. That was a few cars involved.
Let's see, it all really kind of starts when the 97 moves up to block that outside line. Ooh. 97 moves up, disrupts that air.
Yep, and then he hit the leader, and then obviously everybody around unstabling themselves as well, really trying to focus and stay away from any damage, end up getting in those walls.
Ouch. That one gonna hurt a couple of drivers here. Looks like only 2 are on pit road. So maybe the others... Well, here they come down pit road now.
Yeah.
As that'll be the end of the stage. And that's the thing here at Daytona, coming to a stage, everyone wanting that top spot, because you win the stage, you get 10 points, and then it trickles down by 1 from there.
Using the maximum points for that first part of 35 laps, really. Everybody trying to get the best they can, and I think number 7 would be happy about that, being at the top currently. Jeff Peppers.
And let's see who stays the longest here. How much damage do these guys actually have to fix? How much of it is just visual? And that's the thing, I mean, visual damage here at Daytona, it may work on other tracks, but here at Daytona, if you have any sort of body damage, your night's likely not going to be finished in a win.
Yeah, I think it really affects, especially some physical damage. Anything on the outside of the car really doesn't seem to be giving you the most performance that you need with the proper fixed car. And in the case of some drivers having damaged their steering shafts, really trying to handle the steering, which is currently not even straight, and still trying to do race. But I think and obviously, as you said, it's not going to give them a victory. You'll probably even try and get them to the top.
All right, well, 36 laps down. We got about 70 more to go. It's been quite the race. Very exciting.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, really trying to come into a new season, very pumped up. Really, still trying to play the patience game, but sometimes these things happen. One taps you, and the other are in. As some we see drivers now coming in. Some of them we didn't saw earlier are coming in now.
It looks like the ones involved in that wreck, not all, but a few still on pit road. Oh, Corey Denson really messed up. That thing is Going sideways down
Not
the
sure.
track.
Not sure he's gonna go drive like that, but that is interesting to see if he does so. That is, I mean, kudos. He's even able to keep it on the track there for that much longer. I think it'll be really hard.
Andrew Groves back out, a little bit of front left damage, maybe some front right damage. Sean Cross also back out. Don't really see much.
Yeah, I think especially that start really after that caution of yellow flags didn't really go the best for the top three, which were there before it, except for Coronet, who still stays in second place at this point. So does Ramsdale, but I think it really for Andrew, it was the most he picked up out of those three. Do we see a 40 restart here?
Gonna restart this time actually. Yep.
Oh, so it's very earlier than we thought, and it's the excitement and the performance should be on. Meanwhile, the pace car comes in and it should be green as the pace car moves off the circuit and lets
green.
all these drivers now go green and race freely. Meanwhile, 85 on the outside and 45 on the inside there doing their best. Meanwhile, we try and get a little bit of a different view, but that comes in as all they're going to try and do that. They're almost 3 wide. Meanwhile, 87 trying to do the best they can to defend. Meanwhile, 86, 45 and 48, 3 wide. Who's going to be the one at the top? Who's going to come out at front as 86 still stays ahead, still stays ahead of everybody, but they're really close. They really need to be cautioned. Meanwhile, they might try and go to try and challenge for that lead as well. They haven't been able to do that so far. I mean, everybody trying to stay away from some of those drivers to try and not really have any more incidents in this race, which could be interesting. Meanwhile, 48 on the outside, losing many positions, and 3 is on the inside as well, trying to challenge him, and there could be a position for 3 as well, and that is the position for him. He moves to that outside and moves ahead, and no more positions for him there.
Yeah, that outside line really losing its momentum. These top 3 cars really very, very strong right now, pushing on that inside line. All that energy coming from that 83 car, pushing that 87 there in the front.
So Chris, assuming here you have a lot of experience of NASCAR and over racing around, we see a lot of drivers losing on that outside line, but still a lot of drivers are there. They're not moving to that inside. They're just still coming into that outside, maybe trying to stay away from things that and maybe thinking something that we don't at the moment inside that car.
Yeah, so that outside line, especially in this car, really, like we're seeing right here tonight, really doesn't have the speed. But what you'll see a lot of these guys are going to do is, if they feel like the outside line is where they really want to be and it's really kind of struggling to get some speed, they'll pull down and they'll ride right next to the guys on the inside, which in turn is going to pull that air, and it's going to really kind of, like they call it, side drafting, and it'll really kind of halt the inside line speed and make it kind of similar. It's not going to give the outside lines any boost. It's just going to pull that inside line back a little bit.
Okay, so they're just so more or less they're just trying to stay there, trying to just hang around there, not their position behind, and then if there's a move, there's a chance, they just go for it.
Yeah, right. Yep. Like we might see here, the 7 might possibly kind of pull down as it depends what the 45 does. And they'll kind of pull down towards that 3 car.
Chance is still now 3 there trying to do. 87 moves to the outside now, trying stay there. Meanwhile, we're seeing 86 would be on the inside, but 87 seems to be ahead. Both of them still cool, still wheel to wheel, really close and closer to each other. Everybody almost in that lane is staying close to each other. Meanwhile, 45, we see him moving there a little bit. He might try and go make it 3 wide as 87 switches and jumps to that inside, trying to stay away from 45 a little bit.
Those moves always make me so nervous.
Yeah, especially after seeing two or three incidents which we've seen in similar moves in similar fashion, really happening around. Everybody trying to go ahead, get a faster and ahead of those behind very quick and end up being in the wall. Meanwhile, 45 hanging around, still trying to keep it there, especially some corners providing the outside line a little bit of more speed and some less. Meanwhile, we're going to see someone getting lapped once again, as this could be interesting as drivers still staying there. Car 7, I'm just staying behind of 45. They're not going for much anything extraordinary, not going for any risky moves at that point. Meanwhile, 87 just trying to hang it around. Meanwhile, 45 seems to be the leader. Is he going to come to that inside line? He thought for it for a moment, try and go 3 wide. That wasn't going to happen. Meanwhile, a car ahead would need to get out of the way, and he does very well to get out of everybody else's way to try and make way. And 45, there was a little bit of a snap, maybe a little tap from behind, or it was just his style that we saw the rear of the car really moving up. And I think the incidents from earlier have we saw that even a little bit of a movement from one car or the other creates all the chaos and causes the worst thing possible for all these drivers.
Yeah, and with this car, that's one of the reasons why I opted into, let's do this broadcast. Is this car is very hard, and especially on these plate tracks, they're fun, but they're kind of tough because the end of it. I mean, this car is almost like you're skating, like you're driving on tiptoes. This car feels so light, like a feather, that if you get a bump from behind, like we saw there with the 45 and the 7, a little bit too much of a bump, it feels like it lifts that whole rear end up off the ground, and from there, it's like we saw, it's a big wiggle game.
So it makes sense, it's like it would be like so sensitive to the tap on the outside, but also sometimes inside that car as well, inside that cockpit, you really, it's almost like same every lap, but you have to stay focused, you have to be laser focused to try and not lose anything and really not cause something to your car or to yourself and to your race by your own mistakes.
Right, and that's just one of those things that, to me, makes this car one of the hardest in the NASCAR circuit.
Fantastic. Meanwhile, 87 once again staying there, and 86 behind as well on that inside line, once having the power and having that upper hand there. Meanwhile, we're going to see these guys behind go 3 wide almost. Meanwhile, 48 behind. Thought for a move on 7 there, which seems to be. Meanwhile, others behind as well, trying to go for those moves, trying to really make it interesting, as inside line has the power once again, but the car 3, it should be on that inside, moving, but getting away a little bit from that outside field a little bit, I think, not far away. A move and a little bit of a jump in between. Could we see moves coming up? Meanwhile, 45 again moving a little bit. Thinking to go for that inside, but couldn't have made it. Couldn't have had the gap there to get himself in there. Meanwhile, there goes the top 2 staying away, trying to stay away once again from those guys. A little bit on that outside still. We're trying to see some moves, trying to see some drivers get ahead of the others. Still staying the same though. Not many moves we've seen after the green flags have been made. But still very close. That 87 tried to go to that outside for a little bit, and it's really close now between the 245 and 87. Still, they're going around outside and inside, quite equal, almost wheel to wheel there, but which we call really an open wheel sectors. If the cars are really going together, it's far away from that. Meanwhile, the car behind 97, I think, thought for a moment they're trying to go for that move. He's trying to almost switch lines, but I think he's just not been able to do that. He might be it's just in much speed that, especially on certain circuits where you don't really need to brake much, if you are going to lift off the throttle, you might end up losing so much time that you wouldn't want to. So he's just thinking smartly here and try and stay what could be the best for him.
There we go, and get a little view of what it looks like. See right there, we see the 87 kind of going up towards that top line to kind of get that side draft and keep that outside line behind him.
Yeah, this is a great view from the driver's eye almost. Just as what they see, this is really close we see. I mean, it'll be so nerve-wracking for not only driving for yourself, and the cars up ahead as well, really close in between. You just, at that moment, you're just thinking that, oh, you hope that they don't crash and you don't end up being one of those taken out, and still really close. I mean, still staying, not really thinking for much moves. Drivers moving, all the drivers moving a little bit left to the right, to the left to the right, thinking the best they can do. But at the moment with Cross on number 3, staying in 5th, 6th position at the moment, still staying, still keeping it though, but the outside, the inside maybe could be a chance. Still staying a little, not much going on for an overtake so far.
There you can see on the bottom right of your screen the speed that these guys are hitting going into every section of this track. Almost 190 going into turn 1.
And that's what it does. Meanwhile, Cross for a moment thought to go in between those two cars. Could there be a chance for him? But he comes back once again. He's not really trying to risk anything, I think, especially with this part of the race. Lap 50 out of 115, almost halfway done. A little bit more, less than halfway, but I think it's almost like that. And especially if you're going to drive this long and end up being out of the race, which could hurt you. Meanwhile, we see 3 cars coming into the pits.
That final pit stop before the second stage. And we saw these 3 doing this earlier, but they're missing their 4th. Dustin Hardy is out of this one. Oh, wait, he's back on the track. Car's all fixed up, but he is fighting for to get his laps back.
Doing it all. I mean, still fighting, still having that fighter mentality, really not trying to give up. I mean, really trying to enjoy it. Doesn't matter if he's alone, all by himself, but gonna try and get back. I mean, one pace car or one caution, which others could give you sometimes out on that track, and all your laps could be back. You try and recover a lot. Meanwhile, we see a car going out there on the lawn there. That could have been nasty. Had there been a car there, that was lucky enough there wasn't anybody around.
Who was that? It was Sean
It was a
Cross.
white car, I know that much. Ooh, something must have happened there. He was driving comfortably with those top drivers at that moment, and just quite unusual for him to make a mistake, I think.
And unfortunately, he had to get back onto the track because pit road is very, very strict. With the way he entered, if he would have pulled on the pit road, he would have been served a black flag for unsafe pit entrance. You have to be able to cross that line in between those cones and that wall. And unfortunately, him going through the grass, he had no other choice but to get back onto the track, and now he's going to be way behind as we hit this second stage.
He definitely wouldn't have liked that. I mean, especially an unusual mistake for him to really make so far. What we've seen of him in this race, and now you have to wait a whole lap, one more lap, try and get in. And meanwhile, the top 7 are there, but I think 8, as Packard is 2 to 3 laps down as well. The rest of them also about more than 10 laps down on the rest of the field, as they're in their own race at the moment. 6 and the other car behind out there and really trying to do what they can. I mean, they pitted maybe a little bit later, not really yet into the pits.
As we saw earlier in that first stage, that first initial team, Watt Racing, making that pit stop, you know, put them way ahead in the lead. And then we saw the other teams that pitted way later fall way behind. It's going to be interesting to see what these guys do, as they're the only ones left on the track that haven't pit.
I'll say, I mean, except for 45, no, the other two behind are quite, anyways, far behind the field. They might try and recover. They might try and do something unusual, try and probably that could benefit them. And at the moment, they're down, so they're almost maybe would be just thinking that try and do what they can in the remaining laps and remaining times. Obviously, still many laps remaining, so there could be a big chance for them. Try and do something unusual, maybe another yellow flag or an incident that could allow them to pit under the pace car.
And there's those three that pitted together, Watt Racing. They're going into turn 1. Let's take a look at what our map looks like. As you can see how far ahead the 45 is ahead of the 87.
But he's got to pit. He's got to go into that pit road once again and do a little bit of maybe repairs or anything that he needs, such as tires or refueling, which would be crucial to get to the end of this race. It'll be interesting to see some battles between these guys and all those ahead and behind as well, as we are there once again. I mean, right behind car the 6 is 15, not trying for anything unusual at the moment, still staying patient. I mean, not really trying to do anything extraordinary to have things done and maybe get that damage that you don't need. And there we go. We're going to see the top 3 once again and battle it up. I think it'll be 3 cars, but there would be a 4th one, but that should be a lap to 1 and a lap behind the car that is lap behind. And I think he'll have to get out of the way sometimes, but he's already out of the way. I think it is 87 and 86 it should be fighting each other there, and right behind them is 97.
And then a little bit behind them, we've got the 15, or the 48 and the 7. Used to him being the 15. He's always been the 15, not the 48.
Trying something new with the number there, but maybe try and see if something different with the result of his races happen to be as well. We're going to see there 48 and 7 give it their all. Meanwhile, there could be a chance. I mean, for a moment, they're just trying to stay there. They're just trying to stay closer at the moment. I think at this moment, if 7's going to go to that outside line, he might end up losing a lot of time to him, because he's just at the moment he's staying to the inside and right behind 48. Maybe stay right behind him, stay into that slipstream as we call. He's just not good. He's going to stay within him, because as soon as he moves to that outside, he could be losing bigger and more time, because even if you're foot to the floor and fully pushing around this track, you could end up losing time if you really have air pushing you backwards, really, and really stopping you almost from going as fast as you want to be going.
And just like that, we have hit the halfway point. This race halfway over. Now once we hit this final stage break, it's going to be a shootout to the finish for those final, what should be about 42 laps. Ryan Philbrick, Brandon Yates, and Corey Moore still out on the track. They haven't made their pit stop here before the stage. They might be thinking that they may be able to go the distance.
They're thinking, I mean, they're not interested in it. Maybe try and get to at the end of this stage, probably, which should be lap 73, I think, if you're having 48 laps to the end from that second one. So it'll be interesting. Maybe they try and get to there and try and pit then by that time. Try and get a little bit of help.
Yeah, that stage caution come out at the end of 70, so lap 71, and then we should go green. Yeah, I think that's 73, right? 73 or 74?
Sometimes around that. And meanwhile, we see 45 falling behind. Earlier we saw him staying ahead of those guys, but maybe just now having to concede his place and let those guys continue ahead, which would be interesting to see. They are, because at the moment 06 and 15, I mean 1 and 2, they are racing for positions. So 45 falling behind a little. Maybe he's feeling that pressure, feeling those tires degrading, and now just the grip not feeling as much as it should have been at the start, or it would have been as he had those brand new. At the moment he's almost looking to be falling away a little bit once again. Those two are almost glued to each other, very close, bumper close. You know, 45 gets back to those once again. Maybe on that into a corner, he fell back a little, but he's still very, very close, and very close from falling behind. I think it'll be interesting, especially those final stages when nobody's got to worry about a pit stop or about those tires, and that would be very crucial and interesting to see and towards the end of the race. And especially longer races like these are very interesting towards the end and the ending laps of it. By what about the second stage ends, the third one starts, so maybe after like lap 80, 85, all those drivers are going to go for those final pushing moments, or they're still going to wait and be patient and maybe go by around when we're past like 90 laps and go for those big moments and moves that they need to be making towards the end of the races by about lap 19 or 95, you know, just towards the very end, when very few laps remain towards the end of the race.
Yeah, see, that's going to be an interesting one, because with the way this race has gone, we've had those 2 wrecks that's brought out 2 cautions so far, and they're going to have to stop for a green flag pit stop in this final stage. And so it's going to be very interesting if we're going to have a finish with the way it looks right now, or if we'll get that late race wreck that brings out a caution and stacks it back up.
Certainly, and I think especially towards those final moments of the race and final laps, we could see some incidents as well. It could be interesting. I mean, earlier we saw cars bunched up together, having a few incidents there, and I think I won't be surprised if there is a few more.
Right, it's going to get very interesting indeed. These finishes are always fun to watch, and it's always so disheartening when you see wrecks happen in the first, 3 quarters of the race, but then it's always fun to watch when they happen towards the end.
It's all exciting. I mean, that
We're experiencing a little technical issue here on the audio side. Alright, is it better?
sometimes Discord has a few issues.
There we go. It's understandable, and they're on a totally different server than you.
Absolutely, and
Which is very cool. BMRL Network has you on board. And it looks like we've got a pitter. That's James Tinder going down pit road, and he's
oh, he's gonna hit it in the wall on his own without anybody around him. He bends it in the wall, and definitely that's some more damage that he's going to pick up.
a tough track to exit onto pit road. You're going 180 plus miles per hour, and trying to slow down to, I think pit road speed here is 60 or 65.
That would have been definitely hard to do, so slowing down suddenly, and especially maybe as we earlier saw how his steering really was almost moved to the to one side. He had to keep it straight in one way or the other, and I think still that could have been the reason. Sometimes you just forget that you have damage and you try and drive it like a normal way, and that also causes up putting you in the wall as well. I mean, it's no surprise if he'd still had that damage and really because of that being ended up in that wall.
Alright, we got a little over 2 laps to go, about 2.5 laps left until that stage caution's gonna wave.
Now, not many laps. We're going to see that stage caution. So these drivers now still trying to maybe play the patience game, but try and gain a few positions as well as they can before that final stage. Trying to have the upper hand on one or the other drive it'll be interesting. It's 5 cars bunched up together, which is you call it 6. Then they'll form the inside, maybe 97 there for the moment. Thought for it once again. The top 3 are very close. And exactly the same one, Cornet, Ramsdale, and Andrew, they're together, all 3. Once again, 87, 83 it is, and 97. Those drivers running their own race numbers, and almost similar paint jobs as well, just a little bit different than one or the other, but
Alright, lap 70, that's the white flag for this stage. Do any of them, though, I know they're all 4 teammates right here. Dustin Harding, the 33, doesn't really matter for stage points as he's multiple laps down, but these top 3 guys as teammates, you know, these stage points matter when it comes to the championship, so we may see some of them jump out of line to try to pass the other, but we may see them continue this straight line to take this checkered flag as they're out of turn 4. And there we go. They will jump out. That's Dakota Ramsdale jumping out to the outside of his teammate, and he's going to win the stage.
They'll win it out. Still close. Still shows green. No lap 71 out of 151. Just moving towards that final stage. Meanwhile, these 3 are still staying close. And this is some battle. Meanwhile, we're seeing car 30 on their own still. Just running in there and trying to do what they can. And there we go. That is it. That is the end of second stage. No pit entry this time.
Alright, so 72 laps down. Stage is going to be a little later than usual because once that 10th place car passes that line, the caution waves, and unfortunately our 10th place car is not on the lead lap. So stage a little bit not right because of that situation.
maybe a few more laps in that caution and behind in that yellow flag, and definitely maybe time to relax for some of those really who have been pushing it really flat towards from the start. Really trying to relax a little and maybe get some time to maybe breathe a little, not driving pressure, but still obviously they can't stop certainly, because if they do so, that'll definitely be causing troubles for them. But the top three moving away a little bit from each other, having to give each other that space. I think just relaxing everybody around, as I said, really behind that pace car. I mean,
All right, we should see everybody come down pit road besides obviously our lap cars who have to go around one more time. They have to leave pit road open to everyone on the lead lap. Oh, and the guys that pitted on lap 65 are going to stay out to start this thing in the front. They know that everyone's at the pit one more time, so why not just stay out, run some laps, pit here in another 10-15 laps, and finish this thing out.
exactly. I mean, earlier, as I said, that they could try and do maybe something unusual. You know, they're anyways far down of the top drivers, trying maybe to do something unusual and really get themselves to the top. And this is what we are seeing with these guys now at where it glows. And in fact, at the top of the field. Meanwhile, those who did not pit are going to try and come out and catch back up to the pace car in the field as quickly as they can, as we're seeing all one or two of those drivers of the top three coming out already, 87 and 83.
Looks like some of these guys staying in for a little bit longer, getting some repair work done.
We're waiting and waiting to go green. And I think we're patiently waiting, but those in those pits trying to repair their damages and get out on the track would be patiently waiting as well. Meanwhile, we see another car coming in. We're a little bit later than usual, but maybe not probably thinking that this is the best chance and time for them to do so right now.
Well, it looks like we're going to have 40 laps to finish this thing, since that stage caution did come out about one lap too late. It put us cycling around for a good almost 3 laps under yellow.
Interesting still. I mean, from 42 to 40, not much of a difference, but still waiting on green flags, and we should be going on very nicely and eagerly waiting for that green flag, just like those drivers, to now see the beginning of the battles to the end of the race and the final stage, which will be crucial and important as well. As important as the first two ones, we could see some more aggressive and action-packed racing, and better, maybe a little bit. Would be similar to the earlier ones, but maybe a little bit different. Drivers using their minds, maybe some mind games as well. Can we see some mind games from one or the other drivers, or they just try and stay to their racing?
I think I think they'll stay focused as they were the first part, but then here, I think after they take that final pit stop, it's going to be an all-out brawl. to get to the finish here. Everyone wants that Daytona win in their book.
Green, green, green.
And here we go.
And green, green, green. Finally, the final stage that we had been waiting for begins for the Daytona here at Daytona now. As we are seeing 06 still leading, has kept the lead, so it's 45 around. Meanwhile, the cars around the outside with should be brand new tyres and better refreshment done in those pits. Meanwhile, they move to the inside to the 83 car there. Both the teammates really leading at the front. 1 and 2 leading both the inside and the outside line there. Meanwhile, car number 6 really leading from that pace car, but really losing it all. And it looks like almost the top 3 are once again, even on that outside line, having that pace, the grip, and the traction that they need on the exit, and the speed especially that they're getting. Meanwhile, 06 moves to that, and that was close between 97 and 87 there at the top. I mean, 97 just coming and making room for himself on that inside line. But I think it would have been close. A little tap, as you saw earlier in the race, even a little tap could end up being the big problems for all the drivers. And it almost happened just like that.
A lot of movement, a lot of back and forth, side to side action right now. Was that the 06 is just searching for a hole down low, or he's trying to get that side draft. He's going for that side draft off of the inside line.
Well, the 3 teammates we've seen really doing the games that they were doing, still maintaining the top 3 to themselves and really doing it their role. And I think definitely that team game, but I think their pace, their performance, and things, and their racing performance always obviously looking as good as they would be. Meanwhile, it is 06 and are still staying to that outside line, trying to do something extraordinary, maybe trying to do something unorthodox, as we say. Really, 45 still staying to that inside line, could have a go at him. And I think if as soon as still staying, though, 06, I think hanging around, not losing much time, though. Sure, he seems to be a little bit slower than those top 2, but still hanging around with within P3, and I think still is maintaining it and keeping it on that inside, leading that outside line. And I think 45, and there we go, he's 45 right behind. I think 15 a little bit, gaining a little bit as well. We'll see. I think definitely the top 2 are ahead. Meanwhile, 6 has lost it, and I think he might end up sometime losing that 83 in 3rd place as well. Meanwhile, he now probably would be thinking to try and defend from car 15 in terms, instead of trying to get ahead of 83. There could be a chance. I think 45 is not far away as well. For a moment, 97 thought to go to that outside line, but that didn't quite happen for him, as he almost moves to that outside once again, but comes back. He's not really trying to take the risk of that outside line. Meanwhile, that could end up making him fall a little bit back, or even a bit of a pressure from 06 could come for him as well. They're still maintaining, though. 06 still staying. So is 15. The only 2 cars in this whole field of cars bunched up together, staying to that outside, still staying true to that outside line.
It looks like 33 way off pace.
And that mark.
Right. 35 laps left in this thing. Pit window gonna open up here in about About 5 to 7 laps, I want to say.
So they got to be making a green flag pit stop, or it's not mandatory, or is it mandatory to just for them they have to pit under a green flag in that final stage?
Yeah, they'll have to pit. Yeah, they'll only have 30 laps of fuel in their tank. Yeah, they'll have to pit, I would say, in about 5 laps from now. We'll see them start making their final pit stop. That'll get them to the end of this race without a caution. If there is a caution, then that just kind of gets thrown out the window, that strategy.
That makes sense. So here, not only worrying about the tires, but moreover the fuel, which depending how much the car can really carry, and having to make you pit once again. So I think that'll be interesting. Meanwhile, we're in lap 82 out of 115, which is just 82. These 82 laps have kind of passed rapidly. I think with the quite exciting and action-packed race we've had here, it has been amazing. Meanwhile, now 006, the only car that remains to that outside. Meanwhile, 97 hanging around in between. He's just not really able to decide to stay to the inside or the outside, though. Meanwhile, now everybody on that inside line, just maintaining everything. I think they're just knowing that they're not really able to challenge those almost top 2 and 3 teammates around them. So they just stay in there and try and do what they just have on table at the moment, especially 45 and 6 and 15 right behind them as well.
Alright, now we're back to just a single file race. Time to start knocking down these laps and get to, you know, about that lap 110 before we start making some good moves. I'm not going to see anyone jump down pit road yet, as they're not going to be within that fuel needed length.
So towards those final maybe 3 to 4 laps, or just just 2 to 3 laps towards the end. I remember a few years ago, or maybe just not too long ago, we saw that some driver making a interesting move, staying to that outside, hitting the wall in real life, as much as knowledge I have, and taking the first place. So could we see something like that, or that is not allowed anymore, if I'm not wrong?
Yeah, not allowed anymore. Don't really have a rule about that in this league. However, yeah, I mean, pretty much any shoving below that line, so anything above that yellow double line is going to be inbounds for these guys coming to the finish. Yeah, it's just gonna see how this thing ends. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, definitely. We're already on 85 there, just now rapidly moving towards the end. Not yet seeing much moves formed up, but still, as soon as close as we get, should be as better as it gets. I mean, we're getting our hopes high, and I'm hoping that these drivers, all of them, are really prepared for all of this, and all this fight should not disappoint as well. Still staying there, still staying whatever it is. Everybody now maybe could be a chance. The pit stop that we are waiting for everybody to make for that fuel as well could be sooner or later being there as well. A little bit of a snap for the leader there. We thought for a moment there was a little snap for 87, and could there be a chance for 97 there? Maybe Evan is staying to that inside line. Could have been close for him, and I think we're still going to see no moves, no nothing. car still about some or the other, a few distanced away, and I think it'll be only exciting when we see all these cars bumpered up, almost like as close as the bumper of the car ahead would to each other. Could there be chances for moves as well? I mean, towards these later stages, we're not seeing drivers going double file or trying for something extra, something that probably they would be hoping in hope of sitting on that outside line, trying to go for that inside. I think at the moment, coming towards the end, they're not risking it. They're just taking at the moment what they have at this point in time. Meanwhile, 97, where the looks of it, might have a move on his own teammate very, very soon. With as it looks, I mean, they're really close and very close to each other. So I won't be surprised if there is a move or positions change and very, very soon between the two, or even there the driver in P3 as well wouldn't be a big problem for him as well. As soon as there is some cars making moves, there could be opportunity for the others behind as well. Not remaining much now. A lap 89 out of 115. As soon as that becomes 90, that'll be 25 laps remaining to the end. And especially a track like Daytona, laps passed rapidly, and it doesn't quite make you feel like just a lap as small as 1 minute, as long as 1 minute, and only in about 50s of seconds towards those, and there could be now. These two are very, very close. Could there be a chance for 97 to try and make a move on his teammate? Meanwhile, 87 does very nicely done by him to try and defend that lead and that inside line, which his teammate could have had a chance for. And I think now 97 would not have nothing left in him, Andrew there, but could be a chance for him to try and get to the outside. He try and go to that outside. Meanwhile, Cornet doing his all as well. Meanwhile, the bottom of the field forming up as the first of those fuel pit stops. We see two cars already coming in.
Very interesting to do it now. I thought it was going to open up a lot sooner than this, but here they are. What's really going to be bad is that everyone's in a single file line just kind of riding that draft. But however, I believe this two-car pack that just pit might have more of an advantage of speed than this actual lead pack does. And here come our leaders. Everyone else coming in pit road. Gotta get that thing slowed down in time without incident. Everybody on pit road. This is where it's gonna happen. This is where your race is gonna be lost or won. Do you overshoot that box, or do you get it right on the spot? Is 97 way too far left? Gonna have to back up all the way into his box. There goes his race if this thing stays green.
That was a big mess up from 97 there. He went far ahead than he should have stopped, and that definitely made him lost a lot of time than he should have there. And I think that shows he's far, far behind than he was coming into the pit lane there, and that definitely could be seen with only as much as 24 laps remaining in this race. It could be exciting, and I think it'll be interesting how he does and how he's able to try and make moves in this race to try and get himself back up to those top pack of this race, which could be exciting. I think after losing much progress, we'll see how he's able to recover and try and get himself back to those top guys.
Actually, it didn't really hurt him like I thought it would.
It's in 6th place from 2nd to P6. I mean, still has lost a few positions, but how big of a mistake that was, I think it could have been a lot worse than it has. That's for sure.
Had to mute myself, off on the mic. And here we go, these guys. It's not going to end the way I thought it would. I thought that these pit stops would kind of disrupt the flow of things and spread this field out, but it's actually staying rather tighter than I thought after these pit stops. Now that we hit the 23 laps to go, 22 this time by, things are getting a little bit more crowded now. Gone are the days of riding in a straight line, it seems like.
Definitely. Sure, the pit stops maybe didn't do too crazy, but they have done enough. I mean, there was only one patch of cars running around at some point, and now look at that mini-map. We're seeing a lot of cars and drivers together than they were. Meanwhile, around the outside, 97 going at it all. He's trying to recover on that road to recovery for his third race, for that fight of the top places. He's staying to that outside, trying to fight against number 7. As soon as he makes that position, he's almost going to be back into where he was before those stops. He might have thought to go for that inside line. He doesn't quite go for it there, but all three of those teammates, meanwhile, we're seeing the driver 83 on that outside. Still staying on that outside, though, because number 7 is on that inside, and he's not going to leave it. He's not going to leave that place open up for anybody. I think at this point in this race, the top 3 are really... oh, that was a risky move there from 83 at the top. Coming from outside to the inside, it could have been really close had 7 moved up, and I think had he carried some more speed into that corner, it could have been a lot different for 83 there as he gets back to that outside line. It's really close now once again, and there he goes, 48 as well now, moving up. Meanwhile, 7 takes the lead, and it's going to be really, really close. The final laps that we were waiting for seem to have brighten up and light up the action of this race here at Daytona now.
And the outside line of Watt Racing, that whole team so far in this league, in the truck series, and I think actually in Xfinity last season, has won every Daytona race. Can they win another one, or does Beard Motorsports take it on the inside line?
Really interesting. I'm sure they've won the few races before, but this time they've got a very, very good competition, and it could be anybody's game. And now this is very, very close. Remember, this is how close it was earlier when we saw some incidents happen out on track, and it's once again as close as that, and even more closer, especially looking how close those guys are going together. All the action disappeared for a little bit, but it's back, and that battle and that action pack, number 7 and 83 could be very close. Meanwhile, 48 and there moves some drivers moving, changing lanes there outside to the inside, but the top driver still staying to the outside. Meanwhile, 7 loses out to the leader, 83 there, but 97 moving up, falling back a little, but I think those drivers still maintaining that outside and the inside. Meanwhile, 7 gets it back. He's ahead once again. And this battle is going to scrap. These guys are going to be scrapping back and forth lap after lap until these 18 laps are done. And it'll be really interesting to see at the moment. You cannot predict who's going to come out top. and 83 once again went from outside to the inside, and it was very close one more time. I think at this moment he knows that he had to jump to that inside line, because hadn't he done that, it would have been really, really close, and number 7 was going to take it. It would have been very interesting. It'll still be interesting though, because we still have 2 cars on that outside line, and it is his own teammates to 80 Ramsdale, and it'll be very interesting. Are we going to see 7 try and get in, try and go 3 wide, maybe try and create something that we haven't seen yet this race? Once again, it is 3 wide together on the inside and the outside. Is how close that was between 97 and 7 there. It'll still stays very, very close between the 4 cars. The other 2 are behind as well, but there is not much action, and I think there was some contact there between the 2. They were really, really close running and driving there, and that could have ended up way worse than it did, and I think he'd be feeling lucky there to just lose on a few positions than lose out on that race, and definitely that tap would have hurt his race a little bit, but that was almost another disaster we saw.
Alright, coming around the 15 laps to go this next time by, as they're on the backstretch heading into turn 3. It's getting there.
Definitely. I mean, the big 3 have really almost, you could say, have dominated, really. They haven't dominated by a huge gap, but I think as a track, as Daytona, for the longer you keep the position, the more you dominate. And I think the bits and pieces of that action packed racing we saw could be even more. But I think at the moment, as it looks, the 3 teammates at the top might be just looking to finish it as it stands, and not try and fight for too hard and maybe lose the positions they have at this point, I think.
Here we come, 14 laps to go. We're getting there. Oh man, we're getting there. Who's gonna get it? Does Watt reign supreme, starting season 4, winning the opening race at Daytona for 4 straight seasons? Does Jeff Peppers in the 7 get his very first win in Beard Motors, or in BMRL, like all seasons? Never a win.
How close it's still, very, very close. All going single file now, but I think it would be turning out very nicely at the moment. Still seeing going single file, I think at the moment, not much we are seeing, but they're just trying to relax, and I think that battle and that little tap between 7 and 97 there would be a little bit of a moment for both of them to get away a little bit, maybe relax a little. But I think as many as just 13 laps to the end now remaining, you don't have much time to relax or to even feel the pressure off a little bit, and it's still very, very close. We could be seeing any result at this point. You could be leading for time being, but to the end you might end up far behind than you could expect at the moment. Still Cornet leading though. Cornet to Andrew, then does Ramsdale. I think the top 3 still giving it their all. Meanwhile, car 45, it is more. He's still very close though. He's still staying close. We haven't seen much action from him apart. There we go. These 3, then we switch, and these 2 we switch up to, which could be some action. And around the outside, is 06 there. Those drivers once again. I think Cross was running with within that top drivers. Top of the 3 or 4 drivers there, but one mistake we saw him make earlier in the race, and that has probably made him lose quite a lot of positions than we would have expected. But with these two are still going very close and nicely done. They're still maintaining though. They're not anything done by '06 at the moment. He's not trying anything extraordinary or anything that could be damaging both of them. And I think so far, 3 Cross has been able to just defend it very well. He's not given him any chance of doing so. Meanwhile, 06, car number 6, they're all very, very close, bumpered up together. Meanwhile, a car ahead of the lead back would have to get out of the way as the leaders move to that outside line. So do some of the others as they're going to try and switch to go from outside or the inside. There was really a little bit of snapping going on between the top two there. Meanwhile, 45 around the outside. Is he going to hang it around or move to that inside line as car 7 there? Is he going to get back to that single file or stay to that outside line, try and get closer or to have a chance at some racing? Because as far as as at least I've analyzed, if you're staying to that inside line, there's not a big chance for you to overtake. You have to try and do something different to get yourself up at the top, unless you are the top 3 teammates that are fighting here at Daytona. And I think they've pretty much dominated the race so far. With just 10 laps now remaining in this race, it would be very interesting to have these nice races. Maybe some moves being made. Meanwhile, car 7 now, earlier we saw him fight for the lead. He's now having to find it difficult to try and defend from 48 there. It'll be interesting to see if he's able to do that or not. But we're only going to know. Meanwhile, it'll be now. It just would be coming towards the very end of this lap to see us only have 9 laps remaining to the end. Meanwhile, we're going to see a driver move into the pits there.
The 33 Dustin Hardy.
He's still fighting it though, for a few laps behind, but not giving up. And there we go. 45 has taken the challenge. Moore has taken the challenge of staying to that outside line. Meanwhile, we see 7 still staying in 4th position there. Meanwhile, we're going to see outside all the inside still staying there. I mean, we saw these drivers going single file earlier for a little bit once again. But one more time, we're going to see these guys going in double file now. Could be more chances. Could be chances for them to try and do what they're there to do. Meanwhile, these 3 teammates, I mean, no matter if they're working as teammates or not, they're doing fantastic to try and defend. And really, as far as defending is concerned, you know, for a moment, if they think that if there's a chance for someone around the outside to try and go for that move, they just move to the outside, try and defend, and that was really close, and it could have been ending in way worse movements. And we saw there was a little tap really close, and lucky that did not end. Meanwhile, 83 has to get off and concede the place, Ramsdale, and that is going to be interesting. The moments, the pressure, and the laps ending and getting all these drivers closer and towards the end of the race, really getting to them now.
It takes 7 laps to go as they hit turn 1. This is pretty much 2 different teams fighting each other. Corey Moore, a free agent. Let's get
like, hello
good.
there. Still keeping it, still hanging around there, and I mean, he's sending the message as well. Could he be a free agent? But he's going to do all he can. I mean, that is looking like interesting as well between all these. And there could be a chance for him, car 45. Then that's right. No uphill, no downhill this time around. On the outside, could be a chance for 45 or 87 there. They're still very, very close, though, hanging around, maintaining those laps. Meanwhile, it has to be lap 6 now. So there's 6 laps remaining to the end. And it's the very, very, very... so not many laps remaining, and it could be ending up in any ways than we think. Meanwhile, 45 are on the outside, ahead, just ahead, a few car lengths ahead of him. We'll see what it's going to be coming around as they're just now making their way towards the end of the lap, which is going to see them see the laps to be 110 laps, and it would be 5 laps remaining now in this race. Meanwhile, we will be seeing still the inside line having that upper end, having that power and a little bit, and the teammates are still maintaining that top 3 as they've pretty much done the whole race so far.
Yeah, that inside line working very well together. The outside line, a lot of left and right bobbling up and down the track. Not really keeping those bumpers, you know, not connected, as you can't stay connected, but not really keeping them in line with each other.
Yeah, they're pretty much, they might be trying, is there a chance that they're just trying to stay away, they're just trying to maintain, you know, try and not pressurize each other, maybe give others the chance of winning rather than trying to win it to themselves within the team, no matter who wins. But just as the teams get it, team gets the victory, they get the most points, would be their goal at this point.
Ooh, and Corey Moore getting a really good run on the outside line. He's all by himself, but he's staying up there.
Yep, he's taking the challenge, and I mean, he's giving some tough time to those drivers, and he probably would be the only one at this moment, because if he does not do that, or he moves to that inside line, there might be not much chance for him to try and do that, and this time round, he's going for it. He's not holding back. I mean, he hasn't got much to lose at this point, so better as well go for it. But I think these, the top 3 are doing their amazing job. Sometimes one of them moves to the outside or the inside to try and defend anybody that is trying to challenge these guys, which is interesting to see as well. But really close, still closing around.
97 all on the bumper of the 87. The 87 getting a little out of shape. The 7 and the 48 going to go back up to the top line behind the 45 once again. Are they in push mode now? The 87 jumps up to block that line. And that's going to end up slowing him down, and there he's going to get turned up hard into the outside wall.
Oh, and that is how happens what we thought that any driver racing here, it would be their worst nightmare to have such a damage. And I think trying to defend and really work as teammates might have benefited ones or the others. But we'll try and see what happened there. That was a tap from 45, if I'm not wrong. I think for more there, trying to do what he can. And I think in the end, he ends up causing damages to one of the drivers at the top. Ooh. And in the end,
and he came right down into his teammate. That's what happens, Daytona. You sit here and you race for, you know, 110 laps, and it gets down to that final closing moments, and you get a little bit too ambitious, and you know, it start throwing different blocks, and mistakes can be made.
Definitely, and I mean, definitely, they Chris, I mean, at the moment, he'd be nicely happy as well. He just moves into second place at this point, running. I think he was probably the only challenger to these top 3 guys. Nobody else was really moving to that outside line or trying to take that challenge. He did it, and trying to defend from him, trying to not let him get past. It really happened what happened, and I think it's seen, and definitely he will not be happy about that at all.
No, it all just started in the corner. One driver going too high, one going down too low, and those bumpers do not line up when you're over halfway to one side. We saw that push happen on the left rear of the 87, and it just kind of disrupted the whole car in that corner. The 83, unfortunately, has a lot of front-end damage. He's coming down pit road from that incident, suffering a lot of nose damage. And we should be in a green-white checkered opportunity here. Let's see, does the 83... Does he stay to get this damage fixed? I'll tell you who it's actually going to do a benefit for is that number 3 car and the 06. Those guys are going to get caught back up, and we're going to have a restart here for a green-white checkered shootout.
Definitely, and especially Crossum in car 3 there. He had been fighting at the top, had made a mistake and then fall behind, and he's back at it once again. I think it's for the whole team, for the top 3 guys there. It turns out just from delight to disaster it goes, really. Just one of the cars now only remaining in the race. Sure, Ramsdale 83 still in the race, but still in the pits at the moment trying to repair that damage, and it'll be only a matter of time to see how much he's able to recover in the remaining laps that we have for green flags towards the end. Is this 3 remaining? Well, we'll see if it goes green now, or would it be going just for the next lap and the final lap that would be.
Yeah, so what will happen there's a caution within the last 3 laps. These guys get 3 opportunities at this. It'll be what they call a green-white checkered in NASCAR. So they kind of pause the field where it's at. They're still going to go around and count. They're still going to drive around, but the laps will not count. And what it will do is we'll see the green flag come out. The next time they come around, it'll be a white flag, and the next time will be the checkered flag. They call it the NASCAR overtime.
So they pretty much would have to still do 3 laps?
Yes, technically, yeah. Well, it's really it's only 2, but they have to make it, another time around. And we have 3 opportunities of those. So we could have just 2 laps left, or we could have 9. Could have 9 plus. Counting those caution laps. So as we'll see, we'll stay 3 laps to go still, as the software will recognize here shortly that it'll be a green-white checkered attempt. So these guys, when it goes green, if they stay solid without wrecking and they take that white flag, the race will pretty much be over, no matter what happens after that white flag. The white flag trumps everything pretty much.
The white flag is more of like just it'll be a checkered flag next time around.
Yep, no matter if there's a wreck or not. But Daytona Superspeedway racing, I tell you, when you're driving this thing, all race, every lap has probably been a breeze for these guys. But now with a green-white checkered situation, knowing that you're going to take the green flag and have 1 lap for, to pretty much settle what's going to happen in this thing, that 1 whole lap takes forever, it seems like. Now, once these guys see that white flag come out, it'll be pedal to the metal, everyone trying to go for what could be their first win, their, multiple win in a row, or, whatever the case may be. I know that number 3 car. What was that?
Yeah, so I think I'm to be seeing 87 still staying in the pits there.
And it looks like where's 83 back there in the line. All right, Andrew Grove's gonna take him to the green flag.
Green, green, green.
We should see 2 laps to go this time. And there we go. Next lap will be the deciding factor of this thing. Can we make it?
Very interesting.
Oh, you're good. Sorry.
Very interesting it'll be now to the end. It all comes to this final few laps, which will be just 2 laps now remaining. 45 still hanging in there after fighting those teammates, and now it is bleed 3 wide. Meanwhile, Cross goes in, and damage goes bigger, and there is even more cars into the walls. better and more damage there for everyone around.
What just happened?
Because we pretty much, that's what we were waiting for, really, the whole race and thought.
The 87 or the 97 makes a bad move and ends up trying to block the outside, or he's trying to go back to his teammate, causing a giant wreck here. Either gonna go block that outside line or try to jump back to the back for his teammate, but I think he's trying to block this outside line run, and he just goes way too high. He goes way too high. The 3 sees that open opportunity, goes to the middle, and nowhere to go.
Trying to almost make it 4 wide, then 45 knocks the 48 as well a few times.
And the 48 taking a hard hit into that inside wall, or the outside wall, but looking at it, not much. There is some nose damage there. And just like that, another green-white checkered opportunity. So we're going to reset back to 3 laps to go.
We're going to go one more time. Let's...
It'll be very interesting as we get some cars coming on pit road. Andrew Groves, Corey Moore, Don Cross. He was involved in that wreck, and Austin Hund already there. But it's going to be Ryan Philibrick and Jeff Peppers on the front row, followed by Brandon Yates and Dakota Ramsdale right in behind them. Dakota involved in that last wreck with his teammate, the 87.
How the tables turn. 3 teammates were at the top on the high of their game, looking to take another comfortable victory as a team and as drivers as well. And it seems to me it's only one of them now inside that top 4 drivers. 97's right behind, but maybe with some damage that has been maybe repaired, but there might be some unseen damage as well that we don't know about, but might be there inside the car.
So what's interesting about what's going on now is, like you were saying, about the teammates, a lot racing dominating the whole, 3/4 of this race, and then Beard Motorsports also competing up there with them. And then we've seen the team of Ryan Philbrick and Brandon Yates, make different pit strategy calls. Almost, I think the 06 was a lap down prior in this race, and now their team gonna line up right in behind each other at the closing of this race here. So be on the lookout. They're gonna have friendly pushers, whereas the 7 and the 83 are gonna line up behind each other, and they're on opposite or different teammates. So it'll be interesting to see how both of those lines are gonna work on this green flag.
Yeah, I think earlier in the race we were thinking like something different could be nice for one of these drivers, and I think it's definitely showed up. Definitely some you could maybe call some luck by a bit of a mistakes from the drivers at the front, but I think obviously they're driving on that same track as well. Probably to win, you have to not make any mistakes and really not do anything that's gonna damage you or cause something unnecessary, which we're seeing here. They're still aren't far away though. 80, 83, and 97 still very close out, still with the nice battle. But I think 7 and 06 would be in that premium chance and best chance at that victory, with as much as just 2 to 3 laps to the end remaining.
All right, yeah, we're lined up 2 by 2. Green flag this time by. As we see the 3 car trying to make his way around. Looks like that car's still in pretty decent shape. I believe The 15 has retired. Too much damage. His night is done. 87 still on pit road trying to get that damage fixed to get back out there.
And what would be cross-thinking at this point? Par 3 made a mistake earlier, trying to recover everything. Had a premium chance at the victory once again when it went green, and once again involved in the incidents and has to fall back and into the pits and to the bottom once again.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Cross can get back up there. Right now he's in a lineup fourth, row 4. And here we go. Green flag is out. Welcome, Donna.
And a green flag once again, and there we go, the final laps now. We had seen an incident earlier. Meanwhile, a 06 still leads comfortably, very comfortably so far. A big gap though, but that might not stay big enough for time being. Well, you're going to see drivers 15 right behind him. Meanwhile, around the outside is 7 going to come. Is 15 going to go for it? And the one more tap. And once again, we're seeing these drivers into the wall. There could be another pace car. And caution once again. And there is many incidents. And 97 gets back to the top and to the first position. And at the lead of the race once again. This is some exciting but weird racing action as well, as you see.
Caution, yellow
No,
flag.
yellow is still green. And it's yellow again.
I know race control a little behind on that one, almost too late. Luckily the 97 did not get back to the checker or the white flag there. I know a lot of drivers probably a little unhappy with the wreck happening there. Man, and there's a car stopped. Brandon Yates destroyed. Let's go back and see what.
Completely destroyed now. I think just 3-1 just doesn't go well at all.
All right, so what fired from this? What happened? It looks like the 15. Oh, the 15. Oh, it's a little bit of pushing the pusher, you say there. The 87 pushing that second car in the line, which really kind of disrupts it because the second car is the one that's responsible for pushing that lead car. And whenever you start pushing from 3 rows or more back, kind of just push that guy right into that bumper too hard. And
I think that's it's more the 15s when he went from the inside to the outside, banging those other guys into the wall, kind of just unstabling them, and then giving himself maybe a bit of damage as well.
Ooh, and then
Oh, this time what happened?
here.
Yup. It was the hair that you got the most damage that we saw him have earlier.
Not
This
sure
was another
what.
incident. I think this might have been the one that caused the yellow. Earlier we didn't see it. This might have been the one, I think.
Daytona just does not disappoint.
And once again, we are behind the pace car, having to wait to go green. Meanwhile, many drivers into that pit lane after those incidents and damages. I mean, 14 drivers having started this race, and only 8 now remain, and the rest of them already out. Meanwhile, there might be more than 8 remaining, but we'll see what it goes around. Some of them out, some of them still many laps behind the rest of the grid.
And this will be our final time, so anything that happens before we take that white flag, it will be over. No more chances at a yellow. Technically, yes, if a yellow does come out, it will freeze the field where it's at and the race will be over.
It eventually happened that we were talking about that it would go like this, and it could happen like 9 times, like the 9 extra laps.
Yeah, and so that's what we're gonna have the chance to possibly see here is. Now, it looks like everyone with a little bit of damage. The 7 car, Jeff Pepper's just beaten the pace car out. Gonna stay on the lead lap, I believe. Yeah, he's not a lap down. The 3 car, Sean Cross, back up there fighting for it. The 45, Corey Moore, still in this thing. And Joe Packard in the 30, he's got a chance as well.
Yeah, I mean, all of them at the moment just now having a much to think and really go for it. And Cross once again in 3, and Packard in the 30, that fifth, and I think everybody now once again bunched up. One more chance for them to have a go, and I think, I don't know, but we'll see what happens. We might just see another incident. I mean, how we've seen these drivers, unless they try and stay a bit, away from each other this time, try and not cause any collisions, and maybe take any position they have, or just try and go for that victory in the remaining times.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. These drivers know that this is the final attempt at the green-white checkered, so. Pedal to the metal, checkers or wreckers, or stay conservative and try to catch that white flag. All I know is pace car lights are out. As we come out of turn 4, that pace car, we're going to see it drive down pit road. Here we go. Corey Moore, Andrew Groves on that front row.
And the fight and all those battles that the Moore was having, and so was everybody around as well at the start of the race, and after many green, yellow to green flags, and one more time Cross, they're almost having a little go at 87 or 83. It was indeed one more time there. I think a little bit cautious everybody around, but we'll see how much cautious though. Cross could be having a chance to go on the inside. Is he going to be the one at the front? But 83 is going to try and help his teammate defend against him. I think Cross might try and go for it, and this could be very close. 45 around the outside, almost in the third row there, causing up. But we'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting. The outside or the inside. Who's going to be the more successful one there? We just know, with just as much as 2 laps to the end now remaining. It'll be very interesting to see how much action we have remaining in this race. Or is there going to be, having seen many incidents earlier, is there going to be another one there very soon? Meanwhile, 97 still leading, has got the lead to himself. Meanwhile, Cross is going to try and come back at him. He's going to maybe help him, damage him as well. Meanwhile, his teammate on the outside there, but Cross still stays to the inside. Meanwhile, Andrew has to go to that outside to try and defend, but we'll see. Who is it going to be? Cross goes. It's very, very close still between the two. The battle behind them as well, but the top is going excellent so far. It's been clean. It's been very clean there.
Come on, Sean.
I
think Andrew Groves gets it. I think Andrew Groves wins this race. Yep, Andrew Groves got it. Sean Cross in second.
Yes, to the end, but it gets to the checkered flag and finishes this 115 lap Daytona.
Yeah, that was a Very close. Yep.
Ooh,
97 gets it done.
It was very close. Just tapped him and went over the line there.
Whew, I know I was getting anxious. I'm the team owner of Beard Motorsports, and number 3 almost won it for us. But congratulations.
It was very close.
Andrew Groves, that keeps Watt Racing dominating Daytona opening races so far in BMRL. Can they do it tomorrow? Actually, I don't believe they actually have a truck team, so they will finally lose a Daytona race. But Andrew Groves getting his first win, brand new to BMRL racing. Joined this for this season and winning race number 1 already.
Those victory donuts, almost more like hitting it in the wall. But there you go, he gets it right this time.
Man, what a race, what a finish. A little bit overextended. We did a little bit over 115 laps. Man, alright, we've got top 3 waiting. Go ahead and bring them in for a quick interview here. All right, Dakota Ramsdale bringing it home in the 3rd place, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Man, what a race. The first 3 quarters, up to the first 100 laps, very solid, very clean race. I think prior to that we had 2 wrecks. One was coming to that stage. But yeah, a pretty solid night until after lap 100. We kind of got a little bit, everyone wanting obviously that first win of the season. Some wanting their first wins, period, and some, you know, brand new into BMRL here wanting their first wins. Man, walk us through your experience here.
Yeah, like you said it right there. We dominated the first couple stages and was able to get a lot of points. We were really good on strategy, and we knew what we wanted. And then, of course, you know, after lap 100, a lot more aggression starts coming out, and a lot more tough and close passes start coming. And I was kind of fortunate enough to get by without getting in too much damage in a couple of those instances. But we walked away with a 3rd. The Big Tex Autoplex Chevy was pretty quick tonight, and I think this is probably one of the better finishes I've had at Daytona in my previous history. However, I do got to shout out my teammate that he did win it, and that marks Watt Racing as a team. We've won every Daytona race in this league, so.
All right, sorry about that. I had some issues that I had to go take care of, but yeah, congratulations. That's why I was mentioning earlier in the broadcast how this marks your team's another win for Daytona, opening up all 4 seasons so far.
Yeah, it's a pretty incredible feat when you look at it that way. I was telling my team earlier, I was like, I'd be more than glad, more than happy to push one of y'all to the win. However, I would like to win Daytona myself, but unfortunately, we couldn't get it done tonight. But it is what it is. I'll shout out all the fans that are watching, all the guys I work with, my wife, and my dad. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to be here tonight, but I'm sure he's watching the broadcast somewhere.
All right, man. Well, congratulations opening up the season with the top 3. That's going to be great points. Like you said yourself, it's going to be great points for your team as well. But yeah, go celebrate with your team, and look forward to the rest of the week. Talking to you possibly, and then moving on to next week.
Cool. Appreciate it. Thanks for the broadcast, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, Mr. Sean Cross, almost getting that win number 1 in your books here and BMRL, but coming in a little bit too short and finishing second. Still a great run for you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's good to be anywhere near the front at the end of one of these things. So, yeah, I guess got to give a big shout out to my teammates there for keeping my head cool as we thundered off into those last 2 laps. I think I held my breath the entire time.
I definitely was. I was, trying to broadcast it, but also as a team owner, and man, my heart was pounding, my adrenaline was going when we took that white flag, and it's so close.
Yeah, it's great though. It's a good way to start the season. We're moving on to the next challenge, and we'll try to get one of these other 2 this week.
All right, man. Before I let you go, you got anybody you want to give a shout out to or thank you to?
Man, just a big shout out to you, Chris at Beard, all the guys at Beard Motorsports. You for BMRL and all you do for all of us. We wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for you guys. So that's all the thanks, you guys.
Definitely, man. Well, look forward to see what the rest of the week brings. Maybe well, I won't be talking to you in the broadcast booth, but Zabi here could possibly end up talking to you later on this week as we take the trucks tomorrow and the Cup car on Thursday. And then we move on to next Monday's Xfinity race, and yeah, it's sure to be a great season, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you way many more times.
Yeah, sounds good. I appreciate you guys.
All right, man. Well, congratulations, podium finish, great points tonight, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks again, buddy.
Welcome. All right, and last but not least, Andrew Groves making debut here at BMRL and getting the win at Daytona, man.
Hell yeah! My first broadcasted race win too, all thanks to Dakota.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun race to watch. Man, it was so many. Your team came out swinging, dominated the first 100 laps of this race, and then everyone started just swinging punches left and right to finish this thing out, and it ended up getting a little bit of collection of here, there, everywhere, and cars started to kind of fall, and your car just stayed pretty much untouched to finish this thing out.
Yeah, that first accident I was a part of when I threw a bad block on Corey. I didn't think he was going to have that big run. I'm sorry for that, Corey, number 91, but that's when I got my most damage. I had to repair it throughout the race. But I kind of lucked out with that last accident where I was like up high and everybody wrecked down below me. I got touched a little bit, but it wasn't too hard. But we definitely had a lot of team strategy tonight and practiced our pit entries like nonstop and pit stalls, went over fuel. Like we were on point tonight. The whole team, wide open throttle, on point tonight.
Yeah, it was definitely. That's why I did notice you guys pitting all together every time. Especially that first pit stop. All four of you came down. Unfortunately, the 33 having issues.
Yeah, I don't remember what happened to him or something like that. I think he like slid through the pit box the first time and then got involved in some wrecks throughout the race. But he would have been up there with us, top 1, 2, 3, 4, if he wouldn't have got wrecked out like that. Dustin was racing pretty good race.
Yeah, he definitely was, and even after he fell back a lap, ended up racing his lap back before that first stage, but then got caught up in, I think, one incident. Got that car somewhat fully repaired, but then continued to fight and stay up there with the pack when it kind of mean the most to him to pretty much help his team there. But all of you guys, Watt Racing, doing a fantastic job, and like I had spoken during this broadcast, Watt Racing now having a win in every season at BMRL from season 1 to now at Daytona.
Hell yeah, we're going to keep it going too. We're going to run this season this year.
Race control scoring has ended.
Dakota's turn to win next week, Atlanta Super Speedway.
Yeah, let's keep that Watt Racing streak alive, possibly, and look forward to talking to you in the booth. For me, it'll be next Monday opportunity, and Tuesday and Thursday for you with different broadcasters besides Zabi. He'll be here again.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for putting on this league and broadcasting. Thanks to my wife and family for watching. I love you, Felicia. Thanks for Wide Open Throttle bringing me a fast Moza racing car tonight, and hopefully we can keep it going on. My brother was running laps at Las Vegas today in my sim, and that's why I was late to the sign up, and he was putting down some fast laps, so he's going to be joining in a few months too. So y'all be looking out for him because he's coming up.
All right, man. Well, congratulations once again, and look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, baby, gotta win.
You seem very happy about that.
All right, well, that's about a wrap here at Daytona. Race number 1. How did it feel?
Awesome. I mean, especially at the start and then towards the end, it was very exciting as well. Throughout, I think it was interesting.
Yeah, and we've got plenty of more racing to come this week. We're going to continue the Truck Series at Daytona tomorrow night, and then the Cup Series at Daytona on Thursday night. But then, as far as Xfinity, we're going to be back here again next Monday at Atlanta Super Speedway. So that's surely going to be a fantastic race. Yeah, it's going to be awesome, guys.
Fantastic.
All right, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and hop out of here and hope everyone has a great rest of your night. And we'll catch you back here on BMRL Network tomorrow night at the same time.